Let's learn how to use inspector mode in Rasa Studio to test and debug your agent so you can refine what you build and ship with confidence. You can see that we're currently in the Try Your Assistant panel, which is a classic space where you can test out what you've already built. I've already built a welcome flow, which just helps me give a response back to users who say something like, hello. You can see here, when I click here, I can see that we've entered the welcome flow and delivered the response that's currently there. However, if I want to get a little bit more information, some background information about how the system is working, I can toggle on the inspector node. And you can see here now that I get a little bit more rich information telling me what's happening in the background. You can see that the flow greeting started, the flow greeting was completed, and on the right side of the panel, you can also see that we currently are able to click into the actual greeting response itself. And you can see right here, I'm able to edit. And you can see also that we currently have the contextual response rephraser toggled on. And you can see that reflected in the fact that we have an original response as well as a rephrased response currently in this panel. If there wasn't the contextual response rephraser, you'd only have the original response. And I can also click in and see what currently is used in the prompt to activate this type of rephrasing. And I like to say that our prompt here at Rasa, kind of the system prompt that you can of course update and edit, is generally rather careful. It allows for careful rephrasing. And you can see that reflected into the actual rephrasing that's happened here. It's really not that changed from the original version. However, that's also important for me to know, because if I'm looking at this version and thinking, it actually didn't add a ton of value to rephrase that, and I don't want to use this many tokens to do that, I can make the assessment, go back into my responses, and maybe decide to toggle that contextual response rephraser off if it's not providing the value that I need it to. Now, let's try some more different conversations so you can see a little bit how else you can use the inspector mode. So what I'm going to do now is try a multi-step conversation so you can see how you're able to track the conversation as it moves through these different flows. So I'm going to say something like book vacation, let's say April 7th through April 18th, something like that. Now, what it should do is it should activate my time off booking flow, which you can see here. And you'll also get a little bit of additional information. You can see that based on what I've provided, it was also able to already collect the type of time off that I'd like to book. In this case is vacation. It could have also been parental leave or a learning day, something like this. And it's also able to collect the date, which is April 18th through 25th. And if I want to have a look at what's actually been collected, I can see the time off date that's been set, as well as the category. And you can see that it's formatted it correctly in the type of date formatting that I require for my backend system. Now, let's imagine that I actually want to see how one of my system patterns is working within Rasa Studio. And if you're wondering what's a system pattern is like a built-in system flow that comes with Rasa out of the box that automates some common conversational interactions. One such pattern is called correction. You can see an example of it right here. I'm going to say something like, let's do actually just the first 5 days from the 7th. Okay, so I'm saying I actually only want the first 5 days of this original vacation range that I've given. And you can see it's able to activate the system flow pattern correction. I can click on each of these elements to kind of bring me to different parts within the dialogue. And you can see here that it's showing me the system flow for pattern correction, which is great. And I can also see that it's also able to update that information and bring me back to the original point I was in this flow. Now, this isn't all that the flow can do. Let's imagine you have a flow with lots of different branches. So I'm going to say something like, yes here. So it's going to continue down the confirm booking flow. It's a good practice in design to always confirm that you've done everything correctly before you actually submit the final thing. But now I want to trust the, let's say, the no branch for this flow. So I have yes, I like the information, then I have another branch for no. I can actually use the replay conversation button. So I'm going to replay conversation from this point. And now I'm going to say, actually, no, that's incorrect. Cancel the booking. There you have it. Pretty cool. So you're able to go back and forth. I can do the same again to go back to my original flow. Go down the original yes path here. And what's also cool is you're able to see the flipping between flows here as well. We see right here, In this current situation, we're completing the book vacation flow when I click on this node right here. However, you'll notice at the end of this flow, we link to a general customer satisfaction collection flow. So kind of a flow that says, hey, was I able to help you today? Helps you understand what your solution ratio might look like in practice. And if I click here, I can also see it's able to switch to the final flow that we're in here, which is this customer satisfaction flow. Was I able to help you today? I'm going to say yes. You'll see it move along down the flow, complete with a response, and complete the conversation at large. Really powerful tool. Inspector mode, I highly recommend for anyone that's building assistants in Rasa Studio. I think it gives you a lot of background information, which not only allows you to learn a little bit more about how the system is working in the background, but also allows you to identify areas for improvement so that you can continually iterate and improve your agent. Hope that was helpful. Let us know what you think in the comments.